What's up everybody, welcome back to another ProGuides Wild Rift video. My name is Nathaning and it is so good to be back on this channel. I've been taking a little break from my mental health and I really recommend that you guys do the same if you really need to. But yeah, I'm really sorry that I've been MIA like the mid laner that has just ganked your bot lane. Anyway, we're going to be showing you guys how you can read the enemy like a true challenger player. If you're struggling to understand why your enemies are doing what they're doing, then you have to watch this video. By doing this, you're gonna dive into our challenger analyst's mind and see what player Kirks thinks of when he's looking at the game. Reading an enemy play starts from the very beginning of the game. Information is a determining factor in all of your games. It's just about how you use that information in the reliable fashion. From the get-go, sprinting across the map and covering up your jungle is the most default play that you can ask for, but many players still don't do it. And why is that? I can't tell you, but from what I think it's just them being lazy, or they simply just don't know much about that early vision. After playing the game for a while, you can get some experience under your belt and develop a feeling of what certain champions can do. From the very beginning, it's all about gathering experiences and comparing them to theoretical concepts. These aspects might sound a little bit boring, but it really does help. Let's take Lee Sin as an example. He is a very strong early game oriented champion with immense mobility. Those tools can be utilized to bully the enemy jungler out of the game and therefore putting yourself in the best position to carry. To reach that point, we should go back a step and think about the setup that we need to execute that play. Early on, we want to rush towards the enemy jungle and place a deep ward at their blue buff. This ward is going to tell us where the enemy jungle is starting. That information will allow us to map out our route and think of potential areas of interest that we could try to skirmish in. We have to be certain that we're stronger than the enemy champion, and we need to know what we have to do. Being uncertain or hesitating will most likely cause your death many times over. However, if we are weaker than the enemy champion, then we'd attempt to avoid him in the earlier stages until we've scaled up to the point where we can successfully match him. This perspective only covers the isolated jungle matchup and doesn't even take into account how lanes change the power dynamics. Before we go on with the video, you should check out our Discord in the description down below. From regular events to giveaways, we've got everything that you can ask for, even channels to find players to play with. If you're interested in joining the ProGuides family, then what are you waiting for? Come over here for our 24 skin giveaway. Every single thing that happens in the Wild Rift has influence over variables that either increase or decrease a play's success rate. Think about a laner that has lost 90% of his health bar. What kind of asset can he be inside of a fight? Think of his identity as a champion. For example, Ziggs can throw a bomb from a mile away, or even his ultimate to participate in an exchange from far away from his current location. In comparison to that, a Katarina has to physically walk into the fight to do something. Now, do you think a character with super low life that is forced to walk there can change something when he's literally one shot from his current HP? The answer is rather obvious. No. So whatever play you're trying to do needs to be based on information that you've acquired earlier. Before walking to a scuttle crab and fighting for it, you can literally check how your lanes are doing and if they have priority. Nothing is worse than trying to farm the crabster and getting collapsed by the enemy team. To avoid such a situation, it is your job to check if the crab is worth the risk. Another very underrated skill is managing your cooldowns well. Let's imagine a fight 40 seconds before the Infernal Dragon spawns. You kill a lot of enemies, but their respawn timer is short enough to get to the dragon in time. You and your team use up most of your cooldowns, but the enemies didn't use any at all. So even though you've killed them prior to the objective and got yourself some extra gold, you're in lack of some vital cooldowns for now. Engaging into meaningless exchanges before the very important objective is mostly pointless. Look at the bigger picture and see what you need to get. Because starting a fight with neither summer spells nor ultimate abilities available is just a recipe for disaster. The same overall concept applies through all stages of the game and even in lane. Wasting a cooldown in the laning phase can quickly cause your death. Walking up to a Leona as a Janna when you don't really have the first ability available is just asking to get killed. Think of the reasons that you're trying to walk up in the first place and if the risk is worth it. When your Howling Gale is ready, you can stop Leona's Zenith Blade and then she's stuck in a very awkward distance, which allows you to poke her brutally. On the flip side, if you mess up or the ability isn't ready, you'll get rooted, stunned, and sent home by the courtesy of a gray screen. Now it's time for your beloved recurring format, the question of the day. Is there any personal trick that you'd like other people to know when it comes to thinking about the game? Your answers can range from a lifestyle advice that increases brain activity to your very own recipe for success when it comes to winning on the Wild Rift. For me, when I get tilted, I just go out and get boba or I work out. Whatever it is, let us know in the comments down below. The next thing up in my list is about piloting your character. Many characters don't know about the impact of their character's position in or before a fight. You may be seen as an easy catch. And I'm not even talking about the champion, you, the viewer. You're such a catch. But if you're an easy catch as a champion or untargetable simply by the way that you move in a certain position, you're probably gonna die. It's important for success to find a balance between aggression and patience. Depending on what you choose, you might end up being a 1v9 superstar or the one that is to blame for the loss of the game. Think about the enemies and his options, his cooldowns and his relative threat to you. Not every champion is the same. Some are completely harmless and others are an absolute nightmare to face. Let's be honest, who cares about some Blitzcrank when his hook is on cooldown when it's compared to Akali? Akali will always be a threat if she's able to get close, and she has way more tools to get to you than just one. To avoid ending up in such a pickle, you want to observe the fight and mentally map out where it's going to take place in the next few seconds. For that, you have to absorb all pieces of information alike. That's simply not possible. We're human after all. If you want to make it 500 times easier for yourself, you already start assigning value to possible bits of information. Let's go back to that Blitzcrank example. What does matter about a Blitzcrank? His very first ability. Without it, he can't really close the gap unless he runs at us or is in flash range. Nothing else really matters. Consequently, the moment that we see him hook and are positioned outside of his flash range, there is nothing else that he can do, and therefore we don't really have to see him as a threat. By freeing up a cognitive resource, we're able to process other information now. What is happening behind the Blitzcrank, and how can we take advantage of that? To be very efficient, you want to assign threat potentials to all champions in the game from the beginning. Depending on what type of champion they are, their threat will be placed lower or higher on your list. The list in itself is the priority order of what you have to look out for to maximize your performance. Trying to apply this thought process might be a little bit difficult in the beginning, but it's an option that makes the game significantly easier to play and look at. After understanding the previous segment and applying it to your general routine of thinking, you're now able to read the enemy on a higher level. With this, you can punish every single movement of theirs relentlessly. To put this into perspective, I'll talk about the value of your position in the dragon lane. That role is a duo role, meaning two champions are placed on each side. Now, let's try to apply some of these things that we've looked at earlier to the actual dragon laning. You're playing Lux Kai'Sa into Braum Ezreal. In theory, you're placing 2 range into 1 range and 1 melee character, which is naturally going to get you the advantage. How can we use that advantage, and how can we spot the enemy's mistakes? It's really not that hard. Braum cannot magically close the gap between you and him, nor can he attack you from range outside of his first ability, which can be blocked by minions. The only real danger that you're facing here is if you get too close to Braum and he's allowed to stack his passive on you. As long as you avoid that, you're pretty much fine. On the flip side, the Braum cannot really do much aside from just waiting for an opportunity in which he can punish you if you disregard the concept of his range. The spicy part comes now as your lane is a 2v2 war zone. You have to constantly adjust your position to your allies. If you're mismatching, then the enemy is presented with an opportunity to punish you. I have done this plenty of times myself. Some enchanter supports walk up way too close to poke me and puts himself in a position far away from his ADC. What's stopping me from just flashing onto him when my ADC is in position? Now you can instantly stun the enemy and run her down due to her mistakes, and trust me, Dragon Lane is the lane to make the most mistakes without a doubt. The next thing to factor into your trades is the power of minions. Whenever you're attacking someone close to minions, these little gremlins will start hunting you down, and their damage isn't something that you can't ignore. Especially when there's a cannon minion, taking aggressive trades can backfire really fast. Go try it. Go fight an enemy inside of their minion wave and see what happens. You'll definitely be surprised by the damage recap. Let that be a one and done lesson so you never make the same mistake again. But you can also use your enemy minions to your advantage. After drawing aggro, you can walk back into your tower and let the tower help you out to get to level 2 faster. It's not something that you can consistently abuse, but in some niche situations, it will surely help you get the advantage over your opponent if you're interested in fighting early on. The last concept is about trapping your enemy. Every single time that you find yourself in a situation where you're free to move around, and there's nobody that you need to fear walking into, then you may always want to walk inside the enemy's jungle. You can place wards when you arrive there and gain information for the future. Seeing an enemy jungle doing his camps in broad daylight can result in you killing him. It's about creating windows in which you can punish the enemy's movements, whether you're ahead or behind. Being ahead allows you to walk in there and own their jungle anyway. We've all seen it happen when a Lee Sin gets too far ahead. He'll just waltz behind enemy lines without a worry in his mind. However, also if you're behind, trapping can be the game changer that you're looking for. Look at the spawn timer for objectives. The enemy wants these, especially if they're ahead. Now you're unable to win a fair and square 5v5, but you don't have to play fair at all. Hide in bushes on the way back to the objective. Make sure you swift away the enemy vision and patiently wait for your prey to walk in. Then you'll at least have a chance to win rather than losing with certainty in a few minutes. That will be concluding our video today on how to read the enemy like a challenger player. Thank you all so much for watching, and hit that like and subscribe button to never miss anything ProGuides again. To say it again, so nobody misses out on the chance to win some free skins, go check out our Discord in the description down below. One of 24 skins might just be waiting for you. Again, it is so good to be back, and as per usual, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.